It is the man to beat. Who better than me, the PacMan, Justin PacMan Xavier. And you're watching Drinking at Mo.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're filling out your order, use the code Drinkin' at Mo's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking
All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinkin' at Mo's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. With damn near 220 episodes getting recorded as of now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. We are most places you can find your audio podcasts too. Do have, in conjunction with this, my 2 cents with me and my friend Nate, where we talk over all sorts of shit. But today I'm excited to have with me Justin PacMan Xavier. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. Got some good stuff wrestling wise coming up. Getting to go to another show for Sami Callihan's promotion, Wrestling Revolver, coming up here in a couple weeks. That's always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
I've got some pretty good episodes on the books getting lined up that I'm excited with some promotions that have been very good to me. So all in all, can't complain.
Hell yeah.
So first thing I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to finally make that leap and get into the business.
I'd say as a fan, I was in 8th grade. I was at my dad's house, and he was just flipping through the channels, and TNA came up. It was Impact, and it was EC3 and Rockstar Spud. Match. The loser, whoever lost, got their hair shaved, and there's blood everywhere. I don't remember how the match ended, but I just remember like the visual of someone getting their hair shaved. Blood was everywhere. It turned like black and white, and I've pretty much just been hooked ever since. Like,
oh yeah, the old days where they put the black and white on whenever there was blood.
Mm-hmm.
I personally was always like, really? It's not like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Nah, whatever. And then when you finally decided to make that leap into the business, how did that come about? Everybody's really got their own story on that.
Mm-hmm. Me and my buddies used to get together, wrestle in the basement in middle school, high school.
Yeah.
Started off in the basement, then we dented a couple walls, broke a couple windows. My dad made us go outside. Then we got a trampoline. So then had too many people on the trampoline, that broke. So we got a new one. Came home. My dad found us jumping off the deck onto like Legos and all kind of stuff. So he was like, "You guys have got to do this for real." And I still had a couple years before I was like old enough and legally able to do it. I messaged a bunch of schools when I was like 15, but obviously didn't get many responses.
Yeah.
When I was 18, I just did my research and got started at Ascend Pro Wrestling in Cincinnati, and it's been going ever since.
Hey, all right. Well, now one of my dog decided to get down here and join with me, and he's one to eat cat poop. That's lovely. All right. Well, do not try licking me later. All right. So that is awesome. I love hearing those stories, and I've had some similar stuff with wrestling on the trampoline between the us and the high school football team. Some of the team dinners before games, we'd get around, and I'm always somewhat jealous of some of the people that I've had on, because let's just say their families were a little more supportive of their love of wrestling than, like, I don't think the thing with my parents is I don't think they really liked that I was into it, but it was one of those things like, it's harmless enough. If he's just watching, then whatever. Even though they weren't going to buy the pay-per-views. Oh, well. I always had to hear about those from later. But before I get into too big of a tangent, one thing, before my dog tries to knock my stand over here, one of the things I noticed on your page, doing my homework and all that, was Nightmare Factory graduate. Now that, for those that have been living under a rock, I think most wrestling fans, we know what the Nightmare Factory is. But for those relatively new to watching wrestling, give them the explanation.
That's a pro wrestling school in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, they have camp. They have 12-week camps. Coaches are Cody Rhodes, QT Marshall. When I was there, we had Glacier, Luke Sampson, Barry Morales, Baron Black. Hell of a lineup. I mean, it's just top to bottom, A to Z, the best school, in my opinion. Like, as far as conditioning goes and drills, just everything, fundamentals, studying film, taking notes. It's just, there's nothing like it. I've never experienced anything like that.
Oh, I can imagine. Like, I've heard plenty of good, obviously, and it's kind of nice nowadays compared to, like, good Lord, in the 80s when I was growing up. Damn, I sound old. My wife loves to joke with me about me being old all the time. But, back then it was like you would hear about wrestling schools that they could be, a day or so's drive away. And now it seems like no matter what part of the country you're in, there's reputable schools, like, relatively close by.
Yeah.
There are those that are, more well known than others, like the Nightmare Factory. There's, held close to me, Black and Brave Academy with Seth Rollins up in Iowa, Santino's out in California. Like, there's great stuff out there all throughout, and Nightmare Factory is definitely one of those that kind of stands apart from others. Like, just the quality of people they have running it, to the quality that they've been able to churn out over the years. Just amazing stuff coming from them.
Oh, absolutely.
And hell, Cody Rhodes and stuff, that his pedigree speaks for itself.
Yeah,
most definitely. In hell, Glacier, I know I missed out on the time he was coming through Omaha, but maybe another time. My wife and I also got cats, and one of them seems to want to join the audience.
I have a little orange one, about 6 months old. He's insane.
Oh, yeah. This one, a white one, wasn't even my idea to get him. And then he seems to have picked me. Like, I'll be in bed and he'll just crawl right on top of me, and he'll use my beard as a pillow. And I'm just like, hell, as long as somebody's comfortable.
Yeah, you're the chosen one.
Oh, yep, I sure am. And you kind of went over what the Nightmare Factory was like for you. Did it have any memories that stand out through your time there?
Oh, just being able to meet such a wide variety of people, of all experiences. There's people who had been wrestling for 10 years. There's people who had never even wrestled before, and that was their first experience in the business. So just being able to meet people and stay connected, keep in touch with guys, and it's really cool. It's stuff that's lasted, 2 years now.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine, people get drawn there from all walks, all experience levels. So to get to have that networking experience, and like we went into, the quality of people they have going through there, and teaching second to none.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things I saw over social media was a post for Rumble on the River, a match versus a rather intimidating looking dude, Chance Prophet.
Yes.
Now, I love in the process of doing the podcast, I'm getting introduced to new stuff all the time, new promotions, new types of matches, even. For those that might not be as familiar with the event and stuff leading up to the match, fill the people in.
Yeah, so Rumble on the River is April 13th in Manchester, Ohio. It's ran by Spot Monkey Promotions. They run shows all throughout southwestern Ohio. It's a great show. Draws very well. Once a year, they only come to Manchester once a year, and they come in, they pack the house, they're loud, they're rowdy, and they want to see some great wrestling, and that's what we're going to bring them on the 13th.
That sure looks like it from everything I've been seeing. And like I mentioned, Chance Prophet, I getting introduced to somebody new here, but one intimidating looking dude. Yeah. What are you looking forward to with that particular match?
Just being able to learn, Chance is a guy who's been there, traveled the world, done a lot of very cool things in this business that a lot of people can't say they've done. So, I mean, just being able to test myself against somebody of his caliber is what I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, that's understandable and great. I know I've had times with, I used to work with youth with behavior issues. And one thing that would always come up is them, silly stuff like them getting frustrated playing against somebody in basketball that was better than them, or video games, silly little stuff like that. And I've had the talk more than once that, what, you only know how good you can be and what you need to do to improve if you're testing yourself with people with more experience and all that. Because if you're just playing with people, the same experience level, everybody's kind of staying the same. I mean, you stay in ring shape, I imagine, but testing yourself against somebody with that sort of experience, pretty much invaluable sort of stuff there.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, you can only get so good staying in one spot. So that's why I love to travel. I love to just be able to wrestle any variety of competitor, performer. Yeah, I mean, you never stop learning. I could be 15, 20 years into this, and still be learning. So you can always take away something.
Oh, yeah. And that has actually come up quite a bit throughout the episodes, is wrestling being an ever-evolving process. You're always learning, always improving. Every chance you get to sit under the learning tree with somebody that's been on national TV and, like the Nightmare Factory, invaluable stuff. Now, before we get into some of the other stuff, I was kind of curious because I have asked people about how they come up with their in-ring persona, and yours is interesting with the PacMan. And I've seen like part of it's escaping me, but 8-bit something, like I'm pulling a brain fart here, but it leads me, assuming though somewhat of a gamer than I am, that video games kind of had a bit of an influence there.
Oh, 100%. I used to kind of just wear all these retro video game t-shirts around, especially at training and stuff. And for some reason, whatever reason it was, the nickname Pac-Man just stuck with me. And I've just been running with it ever since.
Hey, I remember, good Lord, this is probably dating me even more, when the Pizza Huts were more sit down places, and they actually had those like table things that like had the video games in there, and like PacMan being one that was at a lot of them. And man, those were the days, getting to go there, like begging your parents for quarters while you waited for your pizza. Oh, good times. Hell, video games. Speaking of that, I was actually, before we got to recording, I have been kind of getting into this is more, recent games, but the Resident Evil series.
Okay.
Like, to be honest, before recently, I hadn't ever actually played one of the games. And then somebody suggested I start off with 2. And the remake was on Game Pass. So I was like, well, I'll try it. Ended up having so much fun that I ended up 3 was on Game Pass, and I got the gold edition of the 4 remake, and I've been I haven't played 3 yet, but I've been trying to get a little bit more into 4 before I start jumping into some of the other ones. And I don't know why I wasn't playing these before. I'm having too much damn fun.
Yeah.
Like in 2, I remember somebody was joking with me about it, and I said, you should see what I do to some of the zombies that like surprise me and catch me off guard, because I got the infinite ammo minigun.
Oh, sweet.
Like, oh, shit, and they'd be on the floor, and I joke with them that they looked like hamburger meat by the time I was done with them.
Oh, dude, I've definitely done that in like Grand Theft Auto.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that, and like, so going into video game tangent, but we'll get back into the wrestling, because I just remember this from Grand Theft Auto, like taking a whole bunch of cars and parking them all close together, then either throwing a grenade in between them, or like throwing a bunch of blocks of C4 in there and just go.
Oh yeah, me and my buddies would block off the highway with like a semi truck that we would steal, and then they would just get super backed up, and then we block them off again with another semi in the back, and we would try to crash. We would try to crash the game.
That is too funny.
I think we probably did it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Honestly, it's still doing it. So
yeah, I haven't gotten into 5 too much lately, because I've been playing too much of my other stuff. Like, I got heavy into that newest Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
I actually 100%ed it.
Nice.
One of the first games that I ever 100%ed. I was rather proud of myself.
Oh yeah, it's not easy.
Oh God, especially some of the Mortal Kombat ones, not easy at all. But getting back into wrestling, which was why we are here. Another promotion. Like I said, I'm getting introduced to some new stuff from time to time. Generation Next Pro Wrestling. And it looked like they got some 2 different fundraising shows coming up. What are you looking forward to with those? Because I believe the next 2 shows that looked like, correct me if I'm wrong, were both fundraisers for different things. I think one was doing something with the anti-bullying, which, I mean, it's great, because, I mean, hell, even more now with social media out there, back before social media was big, bullying could stay at school. I mean, yeah, you'd come back the next day and it would be there, but now with social media, it's like, it don't end at school. So what are you looking forward to with those shows? Do they have the cards announced? I haven't been able to dig too far into that yet.
Yeah, May 3rd, Gen Next Pro Wrestling is in Georgetown, Kentucky for Talents Up. I believe this one is a fundraiser for their football team. No matches have yet been announced, but there's been a lot of talent that have been announced. Some great talent, fantastic talent. You got Ricky Morton,
Mm.
Kerry Morton, Myron Reed, Aaron
Oh,
Williams. Got a really good card shaping up.
oh yeah, some of those names. Yeah, I've been able to meet Myron Reed on a couple of different occasions. I know. First time I got to meet him was his match was kind of a replacement one because of card is subject to change, but his match ended up being, well, I don't know if it was a handicap or triple threat. It looked more like a handicap match, but it was him, somebody else against Lance Archer. And
Yeah.
good Lord. Yeah, there were some spots in there that looked pretty damn painful.
He's fantastic, man. He
Oh
really
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah, he's great. And I think last time I saw him was actually talked about Revolver, was actually at a Revolver show, and he was teaming up with his Rascal buddies. And I'm trying to remember who it was against. Oh, it was against the Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah.
That match was insane. I loved it. Because, Grizzled Young Veterans finally getting back out there after everything with WWE and really getting to show people what they're actually like again. It was nice.
Oh, I can imagine.
Now, a lot of people might have heard about the Scenic City Invitational. Well, I also saw some for the Scenic City Rumble. Now, what are you looking forward to there? Because my dumbass didn't write down the date of it. But what are you looking forward to with there? Because I mean, it brings up memories that we not too far away from the last Royal Rumble, and hell, that always for me, people love WrestleMania, and by all understandable why, but Royal Rumble's always been one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
What are you looking for? Did that one already happen? I'm trying to remember because I know some of the stuff I saw on social media had already happened.
I know this is on March 2nd. That's this Saturday.
Oh yeah, duh. That one, yeah, that one's coming up here.
So I'm going down there early. I'm going to partake in the seminar, and then one person from the seminar that's happening before the show gets picked to be on the show itself. So I'm hoping to show up, show out, and get a spot on the show.
Hey, that's
a hell of a card.
I look forward to
talented people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about that one. I mean, are they streaming that anywhere? Because I mean, there's all sorts of stuff all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I'd imagine probably IWTV, but I could be wrong. It's something I have to look into. But I know a lot of the other promoters who all work together to put on the Scenic City shows all stream with IWTV.
I'm definitely gonna have to look into that because my friends over at H2O Wrestling been very good to me. They actually got me back into getting my IWTV subscription because I hear about all these crazy matches. I'm like, shit, I got to get that back and watch. And now I'm getting reintroduced to stuff from all over the damn country.
Oh, yeah.
IWTV kind of, I don't want to say underrated, but they got some great content all the time. Now,
the Premier Streaming Network as well. That's another one. That one's very good too. There's a lot of great platforms where you can watch independent wrestling now because there wasn't around. There really wasn't like that. Hell, even 5-10 years ago. So.
Oh yeah, no, I remember. I didn't get my start watching independent wrestling until I was stationed in the Navy down in San Diego, and I just happened to Google pro wrestling in San Diego, and then off to the races I went. But yeah, even then, now all the places like IWTV, Premier Streaming Network, There's pro wrestling TV. There's what used to be Fight TV, but I think it's like Thriller or something now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then, all the, WWE's got their stuff on Peacock and all. I think New Japan's got the New Japan World. TNA's got their thing. Are they back to TNA Plus now? Or, I mean, with the name change there, like, I'm loving it. But that whole part with their streaming stuff has got me kind of confused.
Mm.
But anyways, now I'm getting around that. Oh, I had to. Sometimes my handwriting on my notes, I get teased about it. My handwriting being like crap, but I mean, it really is. Sometimes I can't even read it. But there was a video I saw that got me chuckling, involving you, and it's this match where it looked like you were going to do a over the top dive, but then there's this big dude standing in front of you. So you just run over the corner and over, like getting around him. That was something else. Like, you don't really see spots like that all the time, which, I mean, you would think, oh, he's right there, I'll just go around him.
Yeah.
But how did that one I am speaking too fast. How did that one come about? Like, during the match, like, was that a spot that was planned out?
I mean, I just went to go do a dive and I saw this big, his name's Sergeant Ledbetter, about 6'4", 250, used to be in the Air Force. So I thought, I'm 6'4" also, but I'm only 175 pounds. So I can't run through the guy. So I just like, go around him, and
hey, it worked. And hell, I knew I had somebody on recently that I joked with them because the move that happened reminded me of Hulk with Loki in the Avengers, where he's like whipping him around by his leg.
Mm-hmm.
You might have seen the clip, but a guy, Brick Savage, he had in a match where it literally looked like he just picked a guy up by his leg and wham! And we actually went over that spot, and I'm like, that, along with your thing, two of the clips that I've seen recently that kind of stand out because, like I tell a lot of people, uniqueness in pro wrestling, whether it be independence or national TV, is somewhat few and far between anymore. So to see little spots that can definitely stand out, like something as relatively simple as just running around the guy and going over the top in the corner, pretty cool, if you ask me.
Thank you.
All right, well, dog getting all crazy up there. So this is what I get for allowing the dog to be around and leaving the door down here open. I love him to death, though. So I have two categories here that I like to kind of round stuff off with.
Okay.
First one's a bit of a name game where I go over some names and you give me first thoughts that pop in your head. And I try to theme it towards the guest as much as possible. And with, the Kentucky, Ohio area, I figure each of these guys have been big names that have come through there, or they're even billed from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I give you the name, first thought that pops in your head.
Okay.
First one, he, I think, is a little bit of time off with an injury right now, but still doing big things with the best friends there in AEW, Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor, first thing that comes to my mind is Awful Waffle.
I'm loving some of the stuff that they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when they brought in Danhausen with the group, and that just, I don't know, that dynamic right there. along with Trent and Chuck. That was just
Oh yeah,
great stuff.
their mom dropping the ball in the minivan. That's great.
Oh
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that was something else.
Mhm.
Like, you see family getting involved in different storylines every now and then, but then the mom and the minivan was just like I talked about, uniqueness in pro wrestling kind of being that right there. Unique. One word to say about it, unique.
For sure.
Next guy. Now, dang, he's done some big things all over. Like, I remember seeing him in Lucha Underground. I've seen him in New Japan. Hell, everybody now even remembers him in WWE. Talking about Ricochet.
Ricochet. I just think of the 630. Lucha Underground, he hit the 630 that stand up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like, I remember before I even decided to look it up, I just remember I had watched Lucha Underground, and then I saw a New Japan match that he was in. And, Lucha Underground, he had the mask. But then I recognized, I'm like, that tattoo right there looks eerily similar. And then, yep, got my suspicions confirmed, which, good Lord, I've been lucky enough to have some people that have gone through Lucha Underground on, like Famous B and some of the people that after the first season kind of got phased out a little bit, but it was fun getting to talk about. All right, next one. We kind of talked about him a little bit. Myron Reed.
Mm-hmm. I just think of the cutter. They're on the apron. He jumps over the apron from in the ring, cutter to the outside. Dude, that's crazy. That's
oh yeah, that move is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Actually getting to see that move happen live is something else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, got two left here. One is doing amazing things at such a damn young age right now. Talking about Billy Starks.
Mm-hmm. I just think of the Swanton. There's a clip, I believe, from the Scenic City Invitational either last year or the year before. She did a Swanton from the top rope onto the floor, onto like chairs. Just like wild. Just wild. I remember seeing that and I was like, damn, that's tight, dude. I don't know. Not a lot of people willing to do that, have the passion and the business to do that. So
oh yeah. And then
she's very talented for sure.
Oh, most totally. I've said it a lot. Sky's not even the limit for her. Like, getting to see the stuff that she's already accomplishing at the young age that she is, and just thinking, man, I can only imagine where she's going to be when she starts thinking about retirement. And this is just going to be nuts. Like, I've been lucky enough to another person that I've had on that I remember. I believe when I first talked to her, it was like summer, like right before she got done with her junior year of high school. And, had to get done with the rest of the school year. I'm like, sure, school's more important. We'll figure it out. And then boom, we got it done. And I actually got to see her live in a scramble match again at Revolver. So that after we recorded, so that was pretty cool, actually getting to meet one of my guests in person, which I've been able to meet a handful, but there's some from one coast or the other that I haven't had the opportunity yet that, sooner or later. All right, last but not least, kind of a bit of a polarizing figure when it comes to wrestling, but the guy knows his stuff. Jim Cornette.
I like listening to his podcast. I listen to clips from his podcast. He is pretty funny. He's hell of a promo.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of dug himself into a hole a couple times. But I mean, the whole thing is he definitely has that old school mentality, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, yeah, sometimes you gotta know when to take some stuff as entertainment, for I guess the lack of a better way to put it, and when to, put legit weight on it. All right, now I have some random questions.
Gotcha.
Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Cool.
So I give you the question, give me the first answer that pops into your head.
Gotcha.
First one of the only ones I really keep in here as much as possible. Craziest in-match moment for you?
In-match moment? Probably in September, I beat Carson Drake for the APW heavyweight title, and that was the first episode that Ascent Pro Wrestling did on TV throughout Cincinnati. So having that happen and having everything, kind of come full circle after grinding for years and years.
Oh, I can imagine that crazy moment without being like, crazy wild, like some wild thing happening in a match. But yeah, getting to win a title on basically a debut of a TV show, that's something not everybody can say that they've done. And you getting to do that, that's awesome. Like, I love hearing the little stories behind stuff like that. Like, I remember, the whole bloodline thing, big right now on the heels of WrestleMania. But I've actually had one of the extended members of the bloodline, Lloyd Anoa'i, on, and he told me a story about when he was in the original ECW, and he had a match against New Jack. And most people just start chuckling as soon as I mentioned that guy's name, because you can just imagine some crazy stuff happening. Well, they weren't supposed to do this, but they ended up both going through a wall.
Oh, wow.
And Paul Heyman proceeded to yell at them after the match. So little stories like that, I just love keeping that question in there so I get to hear stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
but yours,
definitely.
crazy on a different level. Something, like we said, not everybody gets to say that they did. You've done it, so that's awesome. Now, mention some of the stuff more so before recording that I have behind me, some of my hobbies here. Some signed figures, some other memorabilia, Funko Pops, and all that. What would you say is some hobbies you have, if any? Because I know wrestling can take up a lot of your time.
Definitely. I love baseball. I'm a big baseball guy. I play in an amateur league. I love pitching. I throw gas. So, I mean, it's fun. I say baseball is definitely a big hobby. Video games, obviously, when I can make the time to play them. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I know with me, like I like playing video games. Like, mentioned Resident Evil, getting into that, podcasting and recording the show and stuff. Sometimes some weeks it takes up a little more of my time than others. I try not to overload myself because, I want, stuff like that to unwind with, to where I'm not like coming home from work, taking care of the dog, setting up, watch maybe a little something, and then go to bed and then right back at it the next day. But yeah, definitely, I love some of my games. I even got some retro ones that I need to start picking up with. Like, well, it's weird for me calling Nintendo 64 retro, but I got a small little collection of games over there that I need to start picking up again, including some wrestling ones like No Mercy's definitely in there. WCW, NWO Revenge, and some of my other favorites that it was weird because I thought that I thought my parents sold off my old Nintendo 64, so I bought one for cheap from somebody. And then my parents bring over a tub of stuff from their house, and wouldn't you know, there's my damn Nintendo 64. I'm like, well, I guess if one breaks, I got a spare.
Yeah. Yeah, I still play the Wii. I have a Wii. I have a DS. I was on a flight to wrestle in Las Vegas, and I pulled out my DS to play on the plane because you don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need anything.
Yeah.
And this kid, I don't know, probably like 10 years old, he was just amazed. He had never seen a DS in his life. And I was like, I let him play it, and I was just like, dude, I feel old. I'm only 22, and I felt super old that this kid thought this DS was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, you know, going back even further, the Game Boy Colors and being on a trip to Hawaii and having that and playing around. Oh man. Talk about feeling old. Damn. Now I'm feeling old. But you know, some of my stuff, I'm proud of, you know, especially my signed figures, because, you know, it started off with Hangman Page, and then now I got Swerve and Keith Lee, Head Shrinker Fight 2, Kushida, Jeff Cobb over there.
Like, hell of a collection, man.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I'm planning on a bit more because I know there's some people going to that next Revolver show that have some figures made up, including, well, I'm debating between a few of them because I know there's one I'm eyeing for Matt Cardona, but it's a little more expensive, so I got to figure out which of all that I'm going with. So I'll end up with another one out, one way or another. All right. Now, okay. When it comes to large sums of money, because, you know, the lottery seems to be climbing consistently, there's some of the sums of money that get up to where I hear people talking about, do you think you can ever imagine yourself spending that much? Or, oh, you could never spend that much. I'm like, watch me. Because it's like what I like to call fuck it money. Because, you know, you think of something that you never in a million years thought you'd be able to afford. Now, all of a sudden, you got the money to do it. What is one thing you would get if you had fuck it money?
Probably just a nice, I wouldn't say nothing extravagant, but just a nice house, you know, no payments, no mortgage, no nothing, you know, maybe just a nice thing.
Hey, that's a sensible choice.
Sensible
choice, definitely. Yeah, I mean, maybe when you're done filling it with some new stuff that, you know, man cave-ish sort of thing, you know, like I'm trying to get down here, you know, little stuff. All right. Now, everybody has a favorite here, and with a name of a show like I have, I would feel weird if I didn't have this question in here. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, because I try to tell people, because of, you know, people having, for one reason or another, don't drink. I try to say, just because it says drinking at Moe's doesn't mean that it has to be alcoholic.
Probably cherry vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
Cherry vanilla Coke's a good one. I got a cherry Coke right here, but cherry vanilla from the freestyle machines, those are really good.
Oh, dude. Oh yeah. Nope. I'm with you there. I'm a bit more of a Dr. Pepper fiend, but you know, especially the cherry vanilla stuff, adding that in there from those freestyle machines, ooh, love it. And then, you know, talking about cherry Coke, one of my favorite alcoholic drinks is actually Jack and Coke with grenadine, which basically tastes like a Jack and cherry Coke.
Nice.
I love it. My wife thinks I'm crazy when I always, or like if I order a mixed drink, more often than not, it's that. My wife just looks at me like, you weird. All right. And I've also said, you know, we're on the heels of another WrestleMania. coming up here very soon. So everybody has a WrestleMania moment that stands out, a WrestleMania moment or a match. What is one of those for you?
Definitely, I'd say Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank. That was the first WrestleMania I watched, at least live. So, like, just seeing that happen as a kid, I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah. No, that is definitely a standout. And I don't think there's really any argument behind it. But as far as it comes to Money in the Bank cash-ins, hands down the best one ever. I don't know if they'll ever be able to top it.
No.
Yeah, definitely. And I know for me, there's been some, going back to my first one that I ever actually got to watch live was actually WrestleMania 20. And that triple threat main event, hands down one of my favorite matches, even though it's sad that we can hardly seem to be able to mention 1/3 of it. But I mean, understandable. I try to keep it lighthearted and fun, so we won't go too into depth there. But then people sometimes think I can be kind of quiet. So people don't realize I'm just observing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And in that same show, when Undertaker came out for the match against Kane, it was after Kane helped, I think, Vince bury Undertaker alive. And I was noticing a little detail. It's like, Undertaker looks like he's got dirt all over him. So like he was coming fresh out the grave. And I'm like, dude, I already was excited about this match, but that, for me, the detail-oriented person, I was like, oh, you know how to hit me right there. And then I'm a fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin, so literally any match or moment that he's had, especially recently against Kevin Owens when he came back. Man, I was worried with his, neck injury history, but man, they did good.
Oh, yeah.
And
he can still go.
Oh, that he can. And before I get into my last question here, I actually have a funny thing with Kevin Owens, because my family and I were all on a trip down to Disney World. And I don't know if I need to tie my shoe or something. I bent down and I look up, and that T-Rex skull tattoo on his arm.
Oh, damn.
I'm like, he was with his family though. So I'm like, yeah, I'll leave. I know I saw him. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But I do remember running up to my wife, who was a little up ahead of me. I'm like, oh my God. I was fanboying out like crazy.
Oh, dude, that's sweet. Oh, absolutely.
Like, just the complete randomness. Like, I know they got the performance center in the area, but what are the odds of actually running into, like, they were coming in as we were leaving. Like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
All right, now. Oh, yeah. To this day, I kind of wish that I said something, but I'm like, knowing if one person recognized him, then it seemed like all sorts of people would be flocking over. And then I'm like, I don't want to ruin his family time. But all right, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling?
Just do your research and do it. Make sure you go to a good school, a reputable school. Just do it. There's really no other way about it. You just have to dip your feet in the water and learn to swim.
Oh, yeah. And, it comes up a lot in some of the episodes that, with just do it, because, if you start thinking about it too much, you get in your own head and then you talk yourself out of it. If you want to do it, and you know what? Just do it, because if you try and you figure out, maybe the in-ring aspect isn't for me, maybe you can figure out some other way to be a part of the show. Because there's all sorts of jobs in wrestling that aren't the in-ring competitor side of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is about all I have. Make sure my dog isn't making too much of a mess up there. But before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Yeah, social media wise, Facebook, you can just look up Justin Xavier. It should pop up. Instagram, Mold Breaker JX. Twitter is Justin PacMan X. TikTok, I am the PacMan Wrestler on TikTok. If you're in the Midwest area, I believe it's March 15th, I will be wrestling at Eastern High School for Spot Monkey Promotions. I will be in Cleves, Ohio on the 16th for Battle on the Border. I will be in Norwood, Ohio on the 23rd for Ascend Pro Wrestling, and then March 30th, I will be in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm wrestling at the Squared Circle Expo.
Nice. And I've been curious about that Squared Circle Expo. I've heard all sorts of stories. Hopefully someday I'll be able to, bring stuff for the podcast out there, because good Lord, the names that end up coming out there for that is just phenomenal.
It's huge.
Anyway, oh God, yeah, it's amazing. Now, like I said, that is about it. We will get all the social media stuff in the description. But thank you again for taking the time to talk to me tonight. And best of luck out there with all those shows you mentioned. And I look forward to hearing about Squared Circle Expo for sure.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Dang, that means a lot. I can be my own worst critic, so I love it when I hear my guests end up having fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man.